You're watching Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner. Here today, Fox Business anchor Dagan McDowell, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, Jedediah Bila, syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, and former Wisconsin Congressman, Fox News contributor Sean Duffy. Perhaps, Leslie, the huge advantage that Republicans have is that their ground game was so strong to begin with. And even Democrats were telling me that they capitulated to the idea that they were just better at that, not just this time around, but even with all of Hillary Clinton's money last time around presidential, it was an advantage for Republicans. I mean, they just simply were everywhere. So what do Democrats do down the stretch?
Well, in the state of Florida, Harris, I think it's very interesting because yesterday on the couch, Ari Fleischer said it'll come down to Arizona. And I would say I really think once again it might come down to Florida. And this is why. Florida is almost like a snapshot of the rest of the nation, very divided. Areas where the president is losing ground and Joe Biden has gained ground, and more specifically in Florida gained ground recently, is among seniors. And Sean, if you saw those lines at the Villages, those were incredible, enthusiastic crowds. But on the other side, Joe Biden is not doing as well with Hispanics as Hillary Clinton was, specifically in the state of Florida in 2016. So Florida may be the state to watch. It may come down to Florida, and it really is a reflection of the nation, how divided we are. There are two different campaign strategies, but the fact that they're tied shows both are working.
More than 73 million people have already voted in the 2020 election, either in person or by mail. However, a nonpartisan site which tracks early voting reports, nearly 40 million mail-in ballots remain outstanding. And election officials in several states are now urging voters not to rely on the U.S. Postal Service to get those ballots submitted on time. It's too late. In more than 24 states, including swing states, Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Michigan, and Wisconsin, ballots must be received by Election Day or they will not be counted. Yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled to let Pennsylvania and North Carolina count mailed ballots received several days after the election. But President Trump says he hopes other states won't follow that suit.
Hopefully, the few states remaining that want to take a lot of time after November 3rd to count ballots, that won't be allowed by the various courts, because as you know, we're in courts on that. We just had a big victory yesterday in Wisconsin on that matter. So hopefully that won't be happening.
Well, bipartisan used to be nonpartisan. Now they're separately in my copy. Leslie, I come to you on this because this really shouldn't be a partisan issue. We should want every vote to count, and we should want to know what the outcome is as soon as possible.
When you look at the 2016 election, Harris, and when you look at more people didn't vote than did, and you break down why don't people vote, they don't feel that their vote counts with our current system with the Electoral College. So I agree with what you said, and Bernie Sanders is constantly saying that every vote's got to count, and it does. If I were Wisconsin, Sean, you poor guys there in Wisconsin, you must be angry with Pennsylvania and North Carolina because you're like, what? Why did the court rule in their favor and not in Wisconsin? Look, you know, even with taxes, if you have it postmarked by the 15th, you're good, you're in, you're under the wire. Why can't it be the same for the votes? Look, most of us want it, especially those of us working so hard in the media and in politics. We want to wake up after next Tuesday knowing who the president of the United States is. But that may not happen this time. It's a different election. We're in a pandemic. It's a different time. Every person's vote should count, and we need to take the time to count them because people are voting differently, whether by mail, mailing it in, as they shouldn't now, drop it off at the box, dropping it off at the box, or going in person. Different time, perhaps different outcome, and we should have different expectations.
I don't have it yet. The Commissioner of U.S. Customs and Border Patrol has just said Twitter has suspended his account after trying to post a story about the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Commissioner Morgan said the posts celebrated the success of that wall, keeping violent criminals from reaching American communities. And Morgan said this at an event along the border in southern Texas just a short time ago. Let's watch.
So with all due respect, Twitter, you're locking my account. Doesn't pass the BS test.
And I want to read the tweet to you now. It says, "We continue to build new wall every day. Every mile helps us to stop gang members, murderers, sexual predators, and drugs from entering our country. It's a fact. Walls work." I just want to point out, with my reading glasses and choking up right now, on my phone, meaning bringing it as close as I can, because it's been blocked. So when you take an image of it, it's like a cloud is over it. Fascinating situation. Well, that's an interesting theory of yours, because Democrats don't like this either, Leslie.
True. Dagan, love you. Not that nefarious, I can assure you.
It's my theory.
I think it's just, I think it's just stupidity. I really do, because I agree with you as somebody of Jewish lineage. I don't want to see Holocaust denials, because the Holocaust was really real, on Twitter. I also don't want to see some of the disgusting, sexist, or pornographic, vulgar, profane, the list goes on. Look, even if this tweet had been up, the American people have pretty much decided if they're in Biden's camp or Trump. And so many millions of Americans have already voted. So having this tweet up or not is not going to change anybody's mind out there. It's not going to help Joe Biden. It's not going to hurt Donald Trump. But it does, just in a sense, help to fan the flames of the belief that there is censorship, specifically among conservatives, because I didn't find violence in that. I didn't find profanity. And obviously, any statistic, it's not 2 + 2 = 4, which is factual, but politically we know things can be spun, and certainly glasses can be looked at as half full or half empty, and both people be accurate.
There's a new controversy over the New York Times calling an anonymous former DHS official who wrote a scathing op-ed on President Trump a senior administration official. That wasn't his title. Miles Taylor was only an advisor at DHS when he wrote the op-ed and would not become DHS chief of staff until 6 months later. A former Bill Clinton press secretary, Joe Lockhart, told the Washington Post he wouldn't have described Taylor as a senior administration official. Leslie?
Well, Dagan, you had me in the first sentence, although it sounds cuter when you do it with that lovely accent of yours. Or you might say I have the accent, right? Look, listen, this was wrong, okay? Outright wrong. Are you the CEO of the company, or are you a middle level manager? He was not the high-ranking official, in a sense, that the New York Times is putting him out to be. I really don't think, though, that people who are reading it are going to be influenced by that person's title necessarily, because somebody who loves the president is going to say it's a hoax. They have it in for the presidency, bad New York Times. And then those who don't like the president are like, see, there are more people in their camp. Look, this individual is one of many disgruntled employees, like former Ambassador John Bolton, who have come out and spoken negatively against the president. Almost everybody who speaks negatively against the president says he wants prosecuted. What bothers me is this guy helped Nielsen with the separation children from their parents policy, and didn't seem to care enough about that to whistleblow that.